Wow. Right, I'm just fixing up. I'm using OBS because all I'm going to do this for the radio on on Monday. I do like
Okay.
a bit of live streaming every now and then, just just for something to do, really. So
No.
yeah, I might even put it on that as well. So I thought if I get a video call, um, then I could play it on both mediums.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
No problem. I
excellent.
hope I look good.
Yeah, you've trimmed up a better than I have. I've just kind of let it go a bit
Yeah.
scraggly.
This is yeah. I had to trim a little bit. That's quarantine beard, stuff. I've always had big beards or like no beard or whatever, but this is literally just like kind of hanging out, being lazy. So
Do you know, I've never had a beard until just before Christmas, and I split up with the ex, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to grow a beard,
it
just
looks good
because.
on you, my man. You know,
It
it
got
looks good
quite
on
long.
us. We on us. Our extra intelligence makes
Yes,
the hair come out there, but this brings it in nice.
it's the solar panel for the Mensa machine.
Exactly. I recently split up with my wife too, so
Oh, sorry to hear that, mate.
no, it's all good. I did it. I was the one that pulled the trigger. It's something that just wasn't working out anymore. So I'm a better man for it, to be honest.
Well, fair
It's been
enough then.
since July, I think. So
Right.
you know, we tried a long time, didn't work out.
Well, at least you tried. It's better to have tried and failed than not to have tried at all, so they say.
Agreed.
Um, Okay, is there anything you want me to avoid, or anything you'd like me to mention? Obviously, the single, which we'll touch on, but anything you want me to avoid?
Yeah, I don't think so. Really. I mean, I don't know. It's some people get a little like ridiculous with the Michael Jackson questions, but I really don't. It doesn't bug me or anything. You know what I mean? It's just there's so much more to talk about. But yeah, just fire away, man. I
Cool.
have no qualms.
Well, I try and sort of look at things that people are most famous for, and then just totally curve around that, just because there's more to it, and you must get sick of hearing the same questions about smooth
Yeah,
criminal this, and it must
it's
get.
it's it's just the landscape, my bro.
Yeah, true,
20
true.
years now I've been doing interviews, and the questions have not altered much. So it's okay. I don't really have any issues with it. It's it's I'm probably more like more bummed about like no one wanting to know. You know what I
Right,
mean?
fair enough. Well, I'd say I'll try and keep it quite light-hearted. But yeah, I'll do a quick intro. Obviously, I'll be playing
Yep.
into our interview, and then what I'll probably do at the end is ask if you want to introduce your new single, and then I'll just cut there, and then I'll drop it another night.
Okay, cool.
Brilliant. Right then. Okay, here we go. So you're tuning in with me at Sound Radio Wales. It's Dave Wicker with the Rock Anthems, taking you right through till 11 o'clock tonight, each and every Monday night. And so, as promised, we've got a guest on the show, ladies and gents. Please say hello, all the way from California, to Terry.
Hello.
Whoop, whoop,
Hi
whoop.
everybody. How you doing? Yeah. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
No, Viv, thanks for coming on. Like I say, I was going to say good evening to you, but it's the morning time where you guys are now, isn't it?
Yeah. It's I almost said good morning to you. So
So you're in California.
I'm in California, Southern California. I live about 50 miles east of Los Angeles. So I'm a bit in the desert, a bit in the city.
Okay,
Probably right smack dab between LA and Palm Springs.
got you.
Yeah, it's getting hot too.
Wow. And how are you
But
handling the? Sorry, go on.
oh, I was gonna say, but the evenings are great. Like if we have to tolerate like 112 day out here, at least we know at night it's gonna be beautiful.
Yes, it's getting quite warm. I just had to open the back door. It's getting really warm here. I'm in the kitchen,
Oh, okay.
so I know I'm kind of breaking the fourth wall here a little bit, but yeah, we've kind of I've set up a little studio in my kitchen.
Yeah, I'm doing everything. I just have a room that's an office in my house, and I can open the window and peer out into the world occasionally, and just get back to work.
Well, it's good that people can work from home. I mean, I know with obviously the lockdown, people are starting to get quite creative with the things they're doing at home.
Yeah, I should say so. Especially like music, I'm finding a lot of musicians and artists are, because we're kind of crippled right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can't go get out there and make a living with touring, which is usually our main source of income. So yeah, we're kind of having to do a little like scramble for ideas and creativity and maybe ways to monetize certain things, and like you said, though, it is a great kind of era to be able to do that kind of stuff. So imagine if we didn't have all this stuff and we had the quarantine or whatever. I think people would be definitely a lot crazier.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of dumbfounds me a little bit when people are complain about being told to stay at home. I mean, could you imagine having to do this after maybe like the Second World War or something like that, when there was like a TV with two channels on it and that was it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Um,
Nobody had phones. Nobody had much along the lines of, I mean, what you just kind of had to read a book,
yeah.
listen to the radio, watch, maybe watch some TV, which was what, barely coming available then or whatever. But and not everybody had TVs, so you're
Well,
kind of
that's
just
true.
like
It was
you're
for the
kind of
rich
just
folk,
left to,
wasn't it?
yeah, exactly. You're kind of just like left to your faculties.
But obviously, yeah, people are getting creative. I've seen lots of music channels popping up, or there's loads of bands that are kind of creating channels and doing little concerts in the bedrooms and stuff like. I can
Yeah,
really
yeah.
imagine the market being flooded with new material. I think after the lockdown.
Yeah, it might be a cool thing in a way. You know what I mean? Like I said, again, being kind of forced to be creative outside the box kind of has a good yield sometimes. So there's nothing wrong with that. We've even like we have several songs that have been written during quarantine, or ideas that we've come up with for other cover songs or whatever we want to do. It's just kind of sky's the limit right now. There's not many rules, which is cool. You can get away with a lot in the video world. You know what I mean? Like as far as production and things that you can do at home. I mean, everybody's got like, Premiere or Final Cut or whatever these days, or like even their phones are like as good as some DSLRs these days. So
They are.
you can really do a lot, man. Again, we're kind of circling around the same kind of relative topic, but it's a lot, man. There's actually, I mean, I've got my whole video set up in one room. I've got my music recording set up in one room. I have a golf chipping in the front yard, a putting green in my dining room. I
Excellent.
have an electric bike that I park out front and ride around the neighborhood. Like I'm finding ways to kind of keep myself busy. And I think my dog, me and my dog go on hikes every day and stuff. But I think he's getting burnt out on me a little bit, I think.
Well, it's good that you got something to keep you active. I mean,
Yeah. Well, and
like,
creativity is just on high, though. That's the cool thing about it. I think it's been inspiring in that way because it's almost like a fight for your life situation.
yeah. Well, I discovered Da Vinci the other day, which they've got a free version and the pro version. But to be honest, the free version of Da Vinci, it's kind of Final Cut sort of program.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
But even the free version, it does so much. It's so
yeah,
powerful.
yeah.
So it's
So
really
many
does.
apps nowadays.
Yeah, and
Apps are out of
as you
control.
said,
You could
I've got one on the
even
iPad.
what is it? What I'm sorry. Even in iPhone, the iMovie is really
Yeah.
great to do things.
Well, that's what I started on, just sort of playing around. Never really been sort of a videographer or anything like that, but obviously
Yeah,
needs must in these times, and I'm finding myself having a bit of fun with it, and
yeah, yeah.
um, making something beautiful.
Yes. This is
But
from the quarantine.
I know. But well, talking of being creative, you've got a new single.
We do. We do. Um, we kind of we just signed a record deal with Megaforce Records out of New York. That's a record label I've been that's been a part of my life. I feel like John and Marsha Zazula actually kind of raised me a bit. Just growing up a metal kid and listening to Anthrax and Metallica, everything, all those old early pioneering kind of metal albums and punk albums and stuff. So anyways, the cool thing is Megaforce is way more universal these days. It's like we're label mates with, Bad Brains and Bjork. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
it's like, yeah, it's kind of cool and eclectic, and we feel like we're in great company. Anyways, we signed this deal, and the plan was kind of to make a record. So what we did was, we had 4 songs that we had recorded with. We started recording maybe 6 months ago with our producer S.J. Jones, and her partner Lucas D'Angelo, who was in a band called Betraying the Martyrs, and just excellent music producers and engineers, and we got what we did was we went to Slate Digital, which is like a big, recording software and hardware company. And we got them to kind of loan us some gear, basically. And we said, we want to do this all state of the art and on your gear, blah, 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 exclusively. Come film us and we'll collaborate and stuff. So anyways, what we did was we set up, long story short, we set up our drummer's house into a studio and just went for it. He's got a nice basement to use for a live room, and it's just set up really well for recording. It's kind of like Ant Farm headquarters there. That's where our gear lives, our Sprinter, our it's where we rehearse and do some writing and stuff like that. So we just converted it into a studio, and we threw 4 songs together. One of them being a cover by a group called Wham.
Wham,
And,
right? I've heard of them.
Yeah. I think they're an English group.
I believe so, yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, we've always done covers just for fun to please ourselves, and it used to be a thing back in the day when we were a young band. We used to pick a different cover every week that we'd play, when we were playing locally on the weekends or whatever. Yeah. So to us, it's a normal thing that we don't really, it's fun for us. So we had these songs laying around, basically because of the whole pandemic and the social distancing, quarantining, etc., everything shutting down. The record's just kind of in a holding pattern right now. But in the meantime, again, back to creativity, we can be writing like crazy right now, which we are. So we're producing songs, but we have these 4 songs recorded. They came out really well. We mixed, mastered, and then we went to the label and ended up landing this deal. So those 4 songs are going to be part of the record, but we're recording maybe another 8 to go on the record before we release. So here we are, stalled out. We're trying to figure out what the best thing to do might be, just to kind of, number one, we want to definitely, keep people, kind of focused on us a little bit, however, through this thing, because there's no way to get out there and play shows for people.
Yeah.
So, that's a big thing for us. And we're like, how can we do that? And then we're like, the world's just a wacky, wild place right now. And people are, obviously people are all kind of, up in arms. And if we can inject any freaking ounce of hope into this, or like happiness, and take away any kind of hate or whatever, like just kind of, music brings people together. If we can make people dance in their houses and be happy, then we were like, let's do it. What's the best song we can do? We have this Wham song, Everything She Wants, laying around. It came out really well. It's Dryden's voice sounds strong on it, that we made it ours, like Smooth Criminal, like kind of beefed it up and injected it with heavy guitars. And it's like, I recorded it all on 7-string guitars. So it's ultra heavy and low. And we kind of put our stamp on it, and what the hell, we put it out yesterday.
Well, do you know what? I listened to it a bit earlier on, and I really like it. I really do.
I'm glad.
And that's a good thing. Like you say, you put your own stamp on it, and I forgot it was a Wham song when I was listening to it. It was, it's just, even though it's a cover, it's a standalone song. No, I thought it was really, really good. Well, we're going to hear it a little bit later on.
I appreciate that very much.
No, absolutely. But like I say, we're going to play it a little bit later on after we've spoken to you. So, this is your first release since 2015, I think. It's since your last studio album.
Yeah. And that album kind of fell off the radar because we were kind of in a weird situation with a weird label, and things were just, I think that everybody's hearts were in the right place for that record, but it was a strange one where we tried a lot of new things on that record, and unfortunately, it just kind of like the label that we were signed to didn't have the resources that they kind of claimed to have.
Right.
And, it's classic freaking, label band tale. It's just how many bands have that story, right? But, and it's pretty passe. But long story short, we didn't get, that none of the songs on that record got any real radio love or even a chance to get picked up, really. So the record kind of was just a wash.
Do you have any favourites on that album that you might kind of maybe regenerate and put on this new one? Obviously, because the cover you did of "Smooth Criminal," I think that was on your very first album, wasn't it?
That was Well, technically, it was our second record because we did put out we put out a self-released first record, Greatest Hits, and then we're being totally obnoxious, right? First record, Greatest Hits. Second record, Anthology.
I thought they were brilliant. Like, hello world, here we are. It's our first album, but just have it.
We've never been shy to having fun and making each other laugh. You know what I mean? Sometimes I feel like we're just trying to make each other laugh. We've been friends since we were kids, but so anyways, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I kind of want to, when we wrote for that record, because that was the first record we ever did like legitimate like top liner co-writes on. And if you listen to the record, you can kind of tell it's half songs that we wrote and produced ourselves, and then half songs that were co-written with top liners and had very different. You could just hear the feel is pop, and ours are a little more alternative guitar style or whatever. So you can hear the difference in it, but doing all those co-writes and on top of the stack of songs that we had, we probably went into that record with 50 songs, or at least 50 songs in various degree of demo. Some maybe just a verse, chorus, no bridge, but a great idea.
Yeah.
So we had a ton of stuff to sift through, and we still have a mountain of that stuff laying around. I mean, theoretically, it's still there. Do I want to move forward? Yes. It's hard for me sometimes to go, even though the songs are really good, like I'm more interested to see what we're about to do than what we did, and I feel like, I don't know, I don't want to seem like overly artistic or whatever, but I just have a bad taste in my mouth from that whole situation to where I need to kind of revisit those songs and find a love for them again, because the situation just really, and I don't get me wrong, I do like the songs on that record a lot. Like I invested in them for sure. It's just, it was a bad experience for the band, and maybe there's a little PTSD there still or whatever, but well, I mean, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, it's the same with anything. There's certain songs that remind you of certain periods of your life. And unfortunately, if those songs remind you of that particular time, it doesn't matter, what you do with a song.
That's what music's all about, right?
Yeah.
But what's funny is because I was listening to the new song while I was driving around running some errands yesterday, I had I had my phone on shuffle, and a song from that record popped on. And it was a song called Sidelines that I'm super proud of. I that's probably one of my more favorite songs on that record, and it came on, and I was like, I'm gonna turn it up, and I listened to the whole thing, and I was like, man, that was a really good song. We did a good job on that. So like I said, I think I could revisit and maybe find love again because I know I loved those songs once. I just kind of like tried to like ignore or forget the time.
Well, do you know what? It's funny. I mean, I suffer from a music-related PTSD, which is quite strange. Now, I think you can sort of move past it. I worked at the Ariana Grande concert a few years back when we all sort of know what happened.
Okay. So you're in
Manchester.
Manchester, yeah.
And so, yeah, it was a similar, obviously, completely different genre, but just my daughter was a big Ariana fan, so she used to listen to her in the car and stuff like that, and I used to ask her to turn it off because I just couldn't deal with it. But after a while, I faced my demons, and I don't like her, but I can listen to her now. But,
yeah. Well, Well, your story's way more poignant than mine. Mine is just like me being a Ponzi artist.
There might be more to it than that.
Well, I'm glad that you got through that. That was not a great thing.
No,
that
it
was
was
hard.
strange. I've just realised I completely turned this interview around. I meant to do that.
That's okay. It's okay. You know, these are things that are important. You know, that was the day that, you know, that day and the Eagles concert. You know, the Eagles death metal at the Bataran. You know, like
Yeah.
those were days that like kind of changed our world. You know, I mean, I shouldn't. I can go as far back as you know, like we were a band tour. We were in the UK on tour. We were on stage in London sound checking when the towers went down, 9/11, right?
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I mean, and that affected our world completely. I mean, there was like a list of like a no playlist of songs that went into rotation. A lot of bands got hit.
Mm.
And I think it was just mainly because the blood stain on the carpet lyric of Smooth
Yeah.
Criminal, we made that list. So that affected us. But flash forward to these instances where they came into our world, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just our little niche, like how to, like, gosh, man, this is like, it's where people go to dance and have fun and enjoy music. And I would have never thunk it, you know, and all of a sudden there it was just looking us in the face.
Yeah.
Everything was different.
It's crazy how the acts of such a few people can affect so many lives.
Definitely.
It's incredible. But I mean, touching on that, like I say, I have worked a couple of your gigs.
Oh, cool.
At one would have been, I think you
Academy.
did a triple headliner at the Academy
Yep.
with POD
Hoobastank and POD.
that's the one.
I remember
Yeah.
that was the show that we were late to because our Sprinter van, we were leaving, we were just outside of Cardiff on our way to Manchester. And our Sprinter threw an axle, like the axle on it, locked up. It was a rental from a rental house, but it locked up. And you know, we have a trailer with all our gear, and we're due at a concert, and we open, you know, so we can push it kind of far back because we're the last to get on stage at sound check, you know. Anyways, we had to do some hustling that day to make the show, and luckily, I mean, we're such good friends with POD and Hoobastank, like we grew up with those guys, and
Right. Cool.
and they were cool. Like they were like, we'll just move you guys to last. You could headline. Manchester has always been such a strong city for us that we weren't scared of it. We were like, okay, cool, you know. So we made the show. We jumped up there real fast and just slayed it. And it was actually mental. You were there.
Oh
right?
yeah, I was in the pit.
It was fun. That was
It
a
was.
good one, actually. Something about shows that happen under those kind of like dire circumstances, you know, like where it's like a lot of adrenaline and a lot of nervousness or whatever. And those are the best ones sometimes, man. It's just
Feels like such a reward when you get there. It's just like, yes, made it on stage.
Yeah, it's a total rush. And then we got on stage and all these kids are just going mental, man. It was the perfect release.
Yeah, it's a good sized venue as well. It's big enough to feel like
Absolutely.
there's loads of people there, but it's also small enough to feel intimate.
Intimate, yeah. That. Yeah,
You know,
I
yeah,
love
you
playing.
used to.
I've played a few Manchester venues, I think, and I don't know. The academies are always great. The O2s are always great.
Yeah, you know what you're getting, don't you? It's kind of like.
Yeah. It's kind of like you know, when you go around in the United States. I don't know if so much if it's like this anymore, but it used to be like, you know, there's a string of House of Blues,
Right.
the chain House of Blues that goes through, and it's all Live Nation owned. And it was one of those venues that you always know what you're gonna get when you get there. You're gonna have a nice shower. You're gonna have a nice meal because it's catered and you know, it's proper rock venue circumstances. So you see the House of Blues on the schedule, and you're like, you kind of plan for it, like, you know, it's gonna be a good day, like of like nice commodity, you know.
Do you have any like crazy riders though? I mean, if do you have one?
No, well, I think our rider might be crazy just because it's so like skinny. Honestly, it's like I don't know. We kind of just get waters, we get some beers, we get some Powerade, because Dryden, it's good for him to sing, like it makes his voice slickery kind of.
Right.
Um, and then we get towels for stage, and that's about it.
Wow.
And it's so, we can beef the rider up occasionally, like when we know that there's going to be a venue that is willing to accommodate or asking to accommodate, and then we'll like add things like maybe some like chips and veggie plate, and maybe a deli plate for the boys that eat meat, and like maybe a bottle of liquor or whatever, so it's really, that's about the extent of it, man. We've never had anything crazy. I think maybe if I had to think of one crazy thing that we used to get, and I don't even really think it's that crazy, but it was something that we used to always want to get. And this is back in, the early days when we were blowing up like crazy, and we could get things on our rider, or wanted them. We used to get the little like ginseng extract bottles. They come in like this ancient Chinese box, and like little containers. I don't know if you've ever done one. They come with a little plastic straw, and you pop the top and you suck it down. And we used to get those like crazy, because we'd do one of those before we hit the stage, and it was just like, it was like a power punch, like out of the gate. It was kind of cool. It was fun. It was like getting a B12 shot before you go on stage or something.
I've never had the pleasure.
Oh, it's good. You can get them at like, I don't know, usually like sometimes the chemist will have it. Sometimes if you can find like a Chinese store or whatever,
I might give that a go. Wake myself up a bit.
It's all right. It's all natural,
Well,
it's just ginseng root extract.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of it. I have seen it about. I think it's something I'm going to need to have a closer look at and have a bit of fun with. So going back to your albums, something I did want to touch on. Talking about doing collaborations with other people. Your third album, Truant, was with the guys from Stone Temple Pilots.
Yes. That was highlight of life moment, actually. I mean, just being like such huge fans of STP that we were, I mean, we wrote a song called SS Recognized that was like a very early song for us. I think it's on Truant because they ended up wanting to record it, but it was literally like a ripoff of their song Army Ants. Like we just like loved it. And then Movies is pretty, what is that song, Tripping on a Paper Heart or whatever? It's got that same vibe. You can tell we're fans, So we met with, when Truant came around, it was time to do it and pick producers or whatever. And we're meeting with people at the label. Except that was still when we were with DreamWorks. It was, we'd go down there in Beverly Hills and sit at the label and just take meetings with these producers. And we were all pretty excited about the Robert and Dean meeting. And when they came, I couldn't like explain how well the vibe was. Like we just really got on quickly, and same sense of humors, like same love of music, and those guys ended up being like family to us. Like we ended up doing a whole month of pre-production at the Morning View Mansion in Malibu, and then we did. We did the whole record at a studio in LA called Conway. And Conway's a really great studio too, because it's all like outdoors. It's like bungalow style. So it looks like a jungle when you're there. It's beautiful. It's very like serene and calming and easy to focus. Anyways, we spent a lot of time with those dudes, and those dudes showed us how to be better musicians, better songwriters, better humans. I really cherish those times with those guys. They taught me a lot. Me being the guitar player, like Dean is an intense guitar player, and he's one of my biggest heroes. And my favorite guitar player is Paige, hands down. Dean's favorite guitar player is Paige. So we got on amazingly, you know what I mean? And then I come to find out that Robert, the bass player of STP, is like a chord dictionary. He's as good, if not better, a guitar player as his brother. So me being the guitar player, I ran through the meat grinder pretty hard, but I learned so much, you know what I mean? But it was literally like those guys have an arsenal of vintage guitars and amps from the 50s and all this crap. That's really cool. That's where I found my love of vintage gear. Like I said, I learned a lot about guitar tone, playing, writing, and those guys would like every part of every song. We would try 5 guitars through 5 different amps to make sure we were getting the tone we wanted from that part. So it became very, very meticulous. And I always call it, I always say that making truant was like my guitar college. That
Wow.
was like me being put through like rock and roll guitar college.
Well, I think we can safely say, I mean, you can tell they've had an influence just by the opening track, like, A
Oh yeah,
Thousand
yeah.
Days. It's straight away, it's just kind of like, it's really quite grungy.
Yeah,
It's got a
and
really,
we had that stuff demoed before we even met with them,
oh, wow.
and so we got to play that for them, and they were kind of looking at us, and we were kind of looking at them, and it just, like I said, the vibe was just like instant. It was good.
Sounds like a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I miss those guys. I don't get to talk to them as much as I used to, but every now and then they'll pop up in my life.
That's amazing. Wow, what a collaboration. That must have been so much fun.
Uncle Dean and Uncle Robert. They're my uncles now.
So what you guys been doing since 2015? As obviously mentioned before, you do a lot of touring. Now would be
Yeah,
festival
pretty much.
season, unfortunately, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, so much for this year, but we have been touring steadily every year, pretty much since then. We have our handful. We've been around for so long, and we're getting older, and we've had our issues. Like I went through some health issues that took up a good 4 or 5 years of my life. All through that I worked though. So we just basically, we've been stockpiling some songs and mainly just touring. Honestly, we have the luxury of being able to go out and make a living touring because of how well the first record and this and all that work we put in on the first record and the success of the first record have turned into a bit of longevity for us, which is a blessing. So
that's brilliant.
we can get out there and fill rooms still and come over to the UK and rip, and we're starting to make bigger circles back into Europe again and starting to build that up again. We just found out because we've been dealing with releasing on Spotify and whatnot, we're getting grids and reports and stuff, and finding out that there's actually like a lot of demand for us in Australia, New Zealand still.
Okay.
Which we had a great run down there. We just haven't been down there since. And there was a concert a tour a couple of years ago that was on the boards for Australia, New Zealand that I thought was going to be a slam dunk because it was like us, Hoobastank, CKY, Lit, all these bands, kind of from that same era. And I thought it was going to be a slam dunk. And the promoter got cold feet after about a week of pre-sale and pulled the plug on the whole tour. So that kind of sent a message to us where we were like, okay, maybe Australia's on something different down there nowadays. You know what I mean? It's hard to kind of keep up with it if you're not there. But then we saw some numbers that made us think differently now, which was a pleasant surprise. So we're hoping to get back down there as soon as possible. Hopefully with POD again. We've been doing so much touring with POD for their last record. We're kind of like the go-to support band for the Circles record for POD. So, and we've done UK, South America together. We've done all this different stuff together. We want to try and get to Australia together. That'd be fun.
It must be great having a little network. I mean, I do something similar. I'm a wedding DJ, and it's all about networking and having people that they can take you along. Sort of in my area.
Yeah. I think that's great. It's what friendships are kind of made out of. You know what I mean? And to me, a band like POD, like a band that's willing to let their cool down enough to let you into their family, and same with us. We're not afraid of I don't know. You learn a lot in 20 years. Of bands that are protect themselves. You know what I mean? They protect their little cool bubble, and they're very competitive, and they don't want to help you get on. You know what I mean? They don't want it's a competitive thing, probably more or less. But we're a little more akin to the lifelong friendships and collaborations and helping each other up. You know what
I
I
mean,
mean? So
I
we've
kind of
propped
get why they have like
us and POD, we propped each other up so many times over the years, man. We're family now, and that feels good. You know, you can be acquaintances with somebody for 20 years in this business and still not, you know, and still feel like they have a competitive edge on you.
No, it's definitely good. Oh, my brain's just frozen over. It's this heat.
Really?
I'm not used to it.
It's getting hot. Man. I'm looking outside. It's supposed to be at 90 here.
I did another interview
Degrees.
earlier on. That was for about an hour. Have you heard of a band called Terrorvision from the 90s? I think they were a
Yeah.
British band.
Yeah, Terrorvision.
Yeah, yeah.
Were they a hardcore band? I know I've heard that name.
Really rock it. They did Tequila, Perseverance, Oblivion,
Okay.
Alice, What's the Matter? What was the other big
Maybe
ones?
I'm just recognizing the name.
But yeah, Tequila was probably the big song.
Okay. I'll have to go listen.
But yeah, I was chatting to them before, and yeah, that was for about an hour, I think it was. And because obviously, because I've been in lockdown for so long, I've not really been conversing with anyone, so I'm kind of having to retrain my brain to converse and have conversations, and it's...
Well, you can probably tell with me, I've been on lockdown so long and like isolated to where I'm just having full conversations with my dog. So like I like get like total like yappy when I talk to anybody these days. I'm like, oh, you want to talk to me? Let's have a conversation.
Yeah, I've got 6 weeks worth of chat to give you right now.
I have so much to talk about.
And you're having all of it. Oh, yeah. Man. But yeah, that's what it's like. I've just kind of forgotten how to generate sentences, and so I've been doing some of these interviews.
It's like getting in your car and going, whoa, I could drive still.
Yeah. I got in the van earlier on to go shopping, and I put it in reverse to start with. And I'm like, no, I don't need it in reverse. I'll put it in forward, and then the windscreen wipers went off. It was like I was learning to drive again for the first time. Yeah. I thought, oh God, I better take a minute before I do this. But no, sorry. What was I was saying about having bands and stuff that you can be friends with. The industry I work in, it's especially if you're a DJ, and I'd be working with a band at a wedding. It almost feels sometimes like me versus them. Like the band want to be the center of attention, and the DJ wants to be the center of attention. Right. But I've only ever found that works against you. I always make an effort to get to know whichever act I'm working with, and it just works so much better in your favor.
Yeah, that's what we've been like that since the go.
Yeah,
honestly, we've always been like we were a bit wild in the day. You know what I mean? To where we weren't afraid of taking a piss on at ourselves. Like we just were wild when we were kids, and we still managed to get a little wild, but we've always had this way of like making people hate us at first and then ending up in love and lifelong friends. It's strange how it happens. Like I think we're a bit much for them at first and the reason why probably is because they're used to these like bubbles of, like of cool, like this is my world and they're protected. You know what I mean? They have security or road managers or assistants, or it's a very, gilded kind of, like
but you think
have
it must
a lot
feel
of
a
outside.
It must feel a bit lonely to have that kind of life though, really. Because I mean, it gets to a point where you're that segregated.
Yeah. I feel like I couldn't tell you because I never had that problem. Because we always were outgoing, and that's what I'm saying is
that's the important thing to do.
Yeah, those artists were like absolutely like bewildered when we'd come at them full force, like, "Hey, how you doing? We want to be friends. We want to have jokes and send you like, like funny, pictures and texts and just have a good time." As like that's the only thing we know, and some artists just don't know how to capacitate that,
and that's sad.
It is, and it makes for like a not the most fluid work situation. You know what I'm saying? Like you're saying, exactly pointing to what you're saying. It's better to work together than against each other, for sure.
Right. I wasn't going to keep you for this long, but I could chat to you all night.
That's okay, man.
So I have written these down. Here's a good one for you. So I interview comedians from time to time, and one of their most frequently asked questions is, when you're on stage, what's the worst heckle you've ever had? Like, have you sort of had any like bad heckles to deal with, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we've had
oh
some good ones.
yeah,
Well,
I wasn't
our
thinking of that
singer
one,
got
but
hit with a pint of piss on
yeah,
stage in England one time, and I'm sure this is all. I'm sure you found it all, but I got in trouble because I got in a fight over it like a couple of nights later when another pint of piss came flying on stage, and I kind of did something about it, and it was it's fair to say, and I'll say it now, that it was definitely the most unprofessional moment of my career, like the
yeah,
pinnacle moment,
but
unprofessionalism. But you know, you get taken sometimes, and you know, to me, that's assault, throwing piss at
well,
somebody, you know,
this is it.
and
On
I
the
jumped
flip
down there and I
side,
did something about it.
well, that's what I mean. Unless you've been in a stage area and had a pint of piss chucked on you, you don't know what it's like. I mean, I've worked
Exactly.
plenty of concerts where as soon as certain bands start, it just rains pots of piss, and it's
Yeah,
disgusting. It's horrendous,
it's
and
disgusting. Yeah, it's
unless you've had
rude.
that coming at you,
It's
you just
it's
don't know.
vile, and it's like it's dangerous. You know,
Yeah, you don't know what disease that person might have, or
anything. Yeah,
if
could
you've
be
got any
anything.
open
Yeah.
wounds or anything like that. I
Your
know you probably
eyes, your
shouldn't have any
mouth. I
on, but
mean, my singer, like when he got hit, I had to watch him in the dressing room, like throwing up. He got like piss went in his mouth. You know, his eyes.
it's horrible.
Yeah. So I was a bit. I was on high alert. You know what I mean? And that kind of, when you're playing with that kind of adrenaline, and I'm already on alert, and like it happens again, and I just kind of lost control for a second. It was unprofessional. I
Well, I
wish
think
I
this
didn't.
is a
I wish it
perfectly
never
human
happened.
reaction. To be
Yeah,
honest,
it
it's
is. In the neighborhood I grew up in, it is. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like you don't do that in the neighborhood I grew up in. So
And
I to be
I don't think
honest.
anyone would criticise you. I think it's a perfectly acceptable response, and I
Yeah.
probably would have done the same if.
Unfortunately, I had to go sit in the Chester clink for a night, and it was a weird situation. It was a weird experience because I mean everybody was just nice and pleased as pie that to have me in a weird way. Like they didn't want me to be there. They
Yeah.
were they were all on my side. They were just kind of red tape. But when I had to go, all the police and the handlers were like very cool. I signed many autographs. Um, and then after the next day, I went before the magistrate, and they were even almost chuckling. They were like, we understand, but like you just can't do that. And I was like,
Yeah.
I know. And so they gave me a special circumstance where I couldn't work in England for a year, but I didn't
All
have
right.
another tour coming until the next year anyway, so it worked out perfectly, honestly. But yeah, leaving the magistrate, leaving the court, I was uh, like signing bailiff autographs, taking photos. it was it
It's
was
quite
kind of
surreal.
it was a weird mixed bag. We'll say that, yeah.
Yeah, I've been Chester. It's a nice place, though.
Yeah, it's not too bad, I guess. It'll be something forever in my heart.
Oh, I can imagine. Right there.
I have to go visit the PD there one time.
So, what is going to be the first thing you do when lockdown is lifted?
Good question. I feel like I almost just want to have like a barbecue with all of my mates, on the back, and just kind of enjoy like being together. Um, I don't know. I want to play golf. Um, and honestly, some of the courses are starting to open up around here. They're starting to ease up on golfing, and but I'm kind of, I want to sit it out for a minute. I want things to get a little more settled because I'm just imagining like this like giant crowd of kids getting out for recess at school, like just maniacs. like running together
Just
to the golf
hordes of
course.
people down the road.
Yeah, and then it's like 1,000 people going through the eye of a needle. You know what I mean? And I'd rather avoid that. So like I said, I'm chipping in my front. You know, I wouldn't mind going seeing the ocean. I don't know, go to just me and my dog always go do stuff on our own anyways. So
Yeah.
it's good to see my friends and stuff. But I I almost feel like I've been preparing for this for a while because to me, I feel like these days when I'm on the road, that's like when that's all the time I go to bars or you know, I'm in bars every night. So when I come home, I tend to just shut in and work, try to write or whatever. But at least when I, you know, under normal circumstances, I can break off once or twice a week and go have dinner or a drink with a friend. So this has been a little more hardcore. Get it? Hard quarantine.
Beautiful. Loved it.
So I don't know.
It almost went over my head then.
Maybe golf, I guess, ultimately.
Oh, sounds good, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to let you get back to being on lockdown because I know you've got lots to do.
Yeah. I'm some vacuuming. I'm actually, you know what? My washer broke down at the beginning of all of this. Oh. So I've been like on the bare like scraps of my laundry. Like I thought, I was like, well, I have nowhere to go, so I'll be fine, you know, like I don't need clothes. Then, you know, my bed started getting a little weird. I was like, cause you know, my dog sleeps with me or whatever. And I was like, okay, my bed's starting to stink a little bit. And I was like, oh man, do I even have, after the divorce? I'm like, you know, when you split up, you're like, it's months that you're finding things that you didn't even know were gone. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, do I even have extra bedding? You know? And I went and I found some sheets, luckily. But so now today I guess I'm doing laundry today and interviews.
Excellent. Living the dream.
Probably be a pint or two in there somewhere. Ah, perfect. Hey, did you read about our beer?
No.
Oh, let me show you real quick before you let me go. That's a good part for the interview. Hang on.
Oh, cool.
Okay. So we've partnered with a brewery here in Riverside, California, called Packing House Brewing Company, and we've basically we did an IPA. We did a double hop rye hop IPA. It's about 8.1, 8.2. It's a hazy, and it's delicious, and it's wicked creeper too. Like,
I need to get hold of some of that.
You got to pace yourself on this, and the art is done by my great friend Kyle Smith, who's he's, besides his brother, probably one of the greatest Scotsmen I know. He's located in Glasgow, and he's a tattooer, and he's tattooed me several times, and we've just been friends through the year. And I love his kind of quirky style. So he was absolutely like
brilliant.
He was absolutely like a perfect choice for the can. I think it's very exciting looking, and you can get this on. It's actually we did a first batch, and it went very fast. So, which inspired the second batch because it was a trial, and so the second batch is in the works, which unfortunately things are just not up to normal speed, is why it's taking a little longer. You know, obviously, like people are running skeleton crews. They just barely opened the brewery up inside up again to employees. You know, so we have a second batch coming, and it'll be available on craftshack.com. The last batch was available on Craft Shack, and I've actually been seeing some of my English friends like receiving theirs now, which is really cool.
Just writing this down. Also,
craftshack.com.
I'm on it.
And then we also we have my ambition is to have a full line of drinks with Packing House. So right now we're developing a did I say the name of this? Because it's called IPAAF. And you get the play, right? Because
that's brilliant.
AF as I don't know if I could say
as farm.
as farm. Yeah, you get the idea.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the next we're developing a cider now, or not a cider. I'm sorry, it's a hard seltzer since that's a bit of a craze, right?
Okay.
At least over here, hard seltzers are very, very popular with the brand White Claw kind of ushering them in. There was a moment when you couldn't even find White Claws in the store anymore. It was like toilet paper or alcohol wipes. Anyways, so we did a play on that. The cider is going to be called Black Mandible, just a play on the ant head, the mandible tooth or whatever. And then the flavor will be black currant, emphasis on ant.
I like it. I love the way all your albums as well have all sort of casually dropped the word ant in there as well.
Yeah. We've tried. It's not easy being punny.
No, but then we were let down with the last one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Always and forever.
Well, what? No, you didn't catch it then. AAF.
Oh, sorry. No, I meant on the last album doesn't have an ant reference.
It says AAF.
It does, yes.
Always and forever.
Wow.
AAF. So we tweaked it a little bit on that one. We got a little outside the box. We wanted to do something way different. So and the thing was we were asking people online, like, what should we call the record, and everybody was ant this, ant that. So we felt like everybody was expecting that. So we tried something a little different. Who knows what the next one will be?
Maybe we should have a competition. If you want to try and decide the name of the next album, call in.
I think that's a perfect idea, actually. I think it's great.
Yeah. Oh, well, excellent. Well, there you go then, guys. Terry would like us to come up with some ideas for the album name. What do you reckon?
Yeah, anything with ant in it. Hey, I wanted to tell you too before we get off, because I forgot we didn't talk about the video. We're gonna have a video for Everything She Wants. It's gonna drop in about hopefully less than 2 weeks. It's just some delay with Vivo, you know what I mean, as far as submitting, and then when they're ready to put it on, etc. They have a bit of a lag. So it's not going to be out as fast as we hoped, but we're definitely it's just about done. It's going to be basically we did like a Zoom meeting like everybody else and their mom did, and like you and I are doing now, but it's literally like a Zoom meeting of like 300 people, including fans, friends, family, athletes, comedians, like friends and buddies from colleagues from bands. It's everyone from like the comedian Rory Scovel to Nick from 311 to ICP, to the Hoobastank guys, POD. Like all of our friends are in there. So
amazing.
It's going to be a treat. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. To it finally getting out there.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that as well. Well, that's probably a good time to play your song. Terry, thank you so much for coming on tonight. It's been a pleasure having you. I could chat all night.
Thanks for talking to me,
rest
man.
Of the guys.
I'm losing my mind over here.
Well, I hope I've managed to kill an hour for you, give you a bit of entertainment for a little bit.
I think it's going to be a good day.
I think it will. But give me regards to the band. And Terry, if you'd like to introduce your next single.
Hey, everybody. I'm Terry. I play in Alien Ant Farm, and this is our new song. It's called Everything She Wants by Alien Ant Farm.
Play.
Perfecto.
That was brilliant. No, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you.
Not a problem. Well, yeah, I really hope this doesn't drag on too long, the old lockdown thing.
Yeah, I know, definitely. Well, we got stuff to keep us busy, I guess. It'd just be nice to get like kind of, more interaction or at least just feel like the world's on track to being kind of a safe place again.
Well, this is it.
Make me happy.
It's our countries, yours and mine, are both on their arses. You've got Trump and we've got Trump light.
Yeah.
And it's depressing. Where we're, two probably the most developed countries in the world, and we're coming dead last.
Yeah. Politics over lives.
Yeah.
South Korea, man. Holy crap. I was talking to a friend of mine who's stationed over there. She's in the military, and
Right.
she told me that she just went back over. I didn't know that she had deployed again, and and I was like, well, you're safer there than you are here. And she was like, sad but true.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been watching loads of news from the US. Every time I watch a clip of the news, I've noticed I let out a big sigh
Yeah. I
every
can't
single
watch
time.
without shaking my head 50 times. I'm gonna get like tennis match, like
Whiplash.
whiplash. Yeah, exactly. Or slapping myself in the head or the face or whatever. It's just unfathomable. You know, it's really just, I mean, these people that show up at the Capitals, like cosplay military people with like locked and loaded like assault weapons and it's like crazy fat America gone wrong. You know, I don't know if you saw it in Texas, a ranger, all these kids partying at a lake, and the ranger's telling them to social distance. He's trying to enforce, and a kid pushes
Pushes
the
him in.
ranger into the water.
Yeah.
Like, you don't put your hands on a cop, and a ranger is a cop. A ranger is it's there's no difference. A ranger
Yeah.
is an officer of the law. So it's just insane. Like the entitlement and the audacity that people are displaying is just pure, like, unhomogenized ignorance.
It is. There's no words. There's a guy that I watch quite a lot called Brian Taylor.
Mm.
Oh God, something. But he basically does politics in layman's terms, and he'll show you the clip, and then he'll break it down and just sort of tell it how it is. And he's been really informative. I watch a few people like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
he did he did a spot on that ranger that got pushed in, and you're watching it and you're thinking, my God. But apparently the kid, he feels really embarrassed about what he did. So he says.
Sure he does, especially since he was made to be a jackass all over the news. Unfortunately, it took that to have some mindfulness. That's too bad.
Yeah.
It's
But
almost like this kid getting gunned down over here,
oh yeah, the black
which is
kid killing two
insanity.
fellows.
Yeah,
That was disgusting.
and 3 months those guys walked around until the video finally came out and the nation finally went crazy about it. And now, you know, it took that for
Yeah.
these like murdering racist rednecks to be put where they belong, you
Well,
know?
it makes you wonder if that video hadn't gone viral, would they have been pulled up?
Yeah, they'd probably still just be walking around.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This was a situation where the video was everything. The video absolutely brought justice because it was not there. No, it was, I hadn't even really heard of the situation. I think I heard about it months ago, and then just so much has happened in between that I didn't, you know, that I just hadn't really, you know, given a lot of thought to it. And then, you know, which makes it even more crazy and appalling that I, you know, to come to find out that these scumbags walked around wasting space for like 3 months.
And well, I think a lot of news has just kind of taken a back seat, really, hasn't it, with this sort of pandemic
Everything
overshadowing
has,
everything.
yeah, absolutely. Our elections are just like, they're not even talking about Joe Biden or anything anymore. You know what I mean? It's just pandemic. And all the news is so separated, and our country is so separated, and people are so just belligerent with their opinions and views, that it's hard to kind of find your way, you know, as far as finding what sources you take to heart and what you're going to invest in and place faith and belief in. You know what I mean? It's a hard world to find that in right now because there's so much divided misinformation. You know, it's just a shit show. I'm hoping that everyone keeps saying, I can't wait for it to go back to normal. I hope it's a new normal.
Oh, it will be, undoubtedly. I don't think there's any way we could go back to how it was before.
For sure. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I hope that it at least inspires some positivity in the new norm, you know?
Yeah, I heard a really good line a couple of weeks ago. It didn't. It said the pandemic didn't break the world. It just showed the world what was already wrong with it.
Yeah, true
I
that.
thought that was really really good.
Yeah, and you start seeing like I know it's novel, but you start seeing all like the pollution clearing and the animals coming back or whatever, and it's
that
almost
was within weeks.
yeah, it like literally
Days.
kind of proves it right in a way. It's like that Gaia theory kind of thing or whatever. It's interesting stuff, but I just hope for the best. My father is 78 with COPD, so he's a high risk, and he's my father's from Rome, so
Oh
he's
wow.
old. He's old school, old school Italian, and he's stubborn and still like wily. And I'm like telling him, I'm like, Dad, you got to stay home. Like you got to lock down. Like all this, I'm giving him like all because he doesn't do the internet. He doesn't do a cell phone. He watches the news, whatever. But I'm giving him all this information, and the fucker's still going out, and he's just like whatever, going to the store. He's working. He paints houses, and he's just a workaholic. At least I know he's like not around anyone painting, But
Yeah.
still, he's just. I'm trying to keep him on a leash, and the kid's like he's like a kid.
Italians are like that, though, aren't they? I mean, I've been to Rome. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Have you been yourself?
Yeah. We just went last. We were there last February or March, I think. Last February,
right.
I think. Yeah, with POD, we were on tour through Europe with POD.
Oh,
so we spent a whole.
Yeah.
We took a whole day. The venue was a bit out of town, out of the Centrum. So we all Ubered in and spent the day just kind of running around the Centrum and having a blast. We went, saw all the sights and had fun, and then went and played a show that night.
Excellent.
I wish I had more time. I want to go back for sure. I cried when I walked up to the Coliseum because I was just like, in my mind, I was telling my dad, I was like, Pop, I made it, Pop, So I was like getting a little like emotional. It was cool.
It's
sitting
sitting
in the shadow of the Coliseum, having like some proper pasta, and it's very cool. Having a real Peroni.
There's something about it. It really hits your heart when you either if you come from the bus station or the train station, you as soon as you walk out and you just see it in front of you, it's just it's so grand and
we did the whole Vatican City, everything. It was gorgeous.
Did you?
It was a lot to take in one day, so I look forward to going back someday. But I do enjoy that siesta style piece that Italians and Spaniards and you know what I mean. They really got it right with that. Like they're like, hey, I'm gonna make myself crazy if I don't take a break. Like,
I've been working for 4 hours. I need a break.
Yeah, I've been working for 2.5 hours. I need a break. All right, well, cool, man. I'm gonna wrap and get my next load of laundry on. Enjoy your pint, sir, and thanks for the lovely chat.
No, likewise. Thank you very much. What I'll probably do is I'll send an edited version to SJ just so you can see what's going to go out on the radio and that.
Killer, yeah.
So excellent.
Awesome.
Nice
and
one. Well,
links,
thanks very much.
All links we need too, so that we can share.
Perfect.
Killer. All right, man.
Nice one, Terry. You take care, mate. I'll speak to you soon.
You too. Good night.
Bye for now.